My today's topic is architecture for all. I chose this particular topic because when I graduated and I started questioning what kind of architecture we want to practice. So basically, we are three friends who came together to and we just started this organization called Design Jatra. Vinita Chirakia and Shardul Patil is also part, and we are equal partners in this particular firm. And basically we were friends from the college, and when we started thinking about what kind of practice we wanted to do, we realized that as per the Sensex, there are still 60% people living in the villages, and there are 450 architecture colleges in all over India, where 0.25% architects are only working in rural context, where 60% of population, only 0.25% of architects actually catering to that particular population. And that's where we started questioning. Also, there is one funny incident where one of my mentor asked me, have you ever heard that architects are doing strikes for the or maybe they are they are on a strike and they were like, we don't want to work. It never happened in the history of architecture, because we never made a kind of an impact in the society. If architects go on a strike, still everything, building construction will be going on. There will be no problem in the society, because there are almost 97% of population still building without an architect, or being any architects involved in the project. And that's where we started questioning, so what is our role in the society? Are we just catering to the 3% of rich strata or a creamy layer, or and we are not even able to do something on a grassroots level where professionals are required? And also imagine, like, our India, where 6 crore population is a professional, like engineers, architects, doctors, teachers, or something. We are professionals, which is quite more than the population of Switzerland. And still we are fighting with the basic problems like malnutrition, migration. And that's where this entire question came into the picture, that how we wanted to start with our practice. So this is just one slide where I'm trying to show what kind of architecture we are doing. All these structures are made up of natural materials. We are using very less cement. Steel we try to avoid a lot. But today I'm not going to talk about anything about it. Like, these are the pretty looking pictures of what kind of the kind of work we are doing. But I'm here to tell you some different stories today. This is Design Jatra collaborative. So we call it collaborative because we are not only 3. At the bottom you see there is Vinita, Shardul, and myself. But I think our entire team is a lot of masons, a lot of artisans, and a lot of the farmers, and everybody are involved in this particular process. And that's why we call ourselves Design Jatra collaborative. We are not something which is an architectural firm only. And I really wanted to start my presentation with this one particular painting, which is very famous painting called Varley Painting. And one of the Varley artists, Srinath Jirwa, from my village, I saw his work and I told him, okay, as an architect, I need to understand what is house. So I told him, can you make a Varley painting of a house? And then he gave this particular painting to me. If you look at this particular painting, the actual house in this particular painting is just this much. It is a 10% of the painting. Okay. But again, 90% of it's a context. And that time we actually realized the tribal definition of a house is totally different. Tribal never consider 4 walls as a house. They also consider a river, fish, the farmland, the cloud, the birds, animals, trees, everything is a part of their house. And their definition of a house is so broad, it's actually consisting the entire planet in it. Okay, even the solar system, they are considering it. And that's where they actually take care of their context. Because if you look at we as a city person, we never hesitate to throw any garbage out of our house But over here, if you come to any kind of a tribal village, you will never see a garbage because the entire village take cares of their entire village. And that's where this broader definition come into the picture. And it is quite eye-opener for us to understand this elaborative definition through this one painting. I wanted to tell you another story of one tribal village, and I really wanted to tell you about the impact when we as a professional think about what kind of impact happens when something is alien get introduced in the context. So this is a village in Palghar district called Nagori Village, which is again a tribal village, and it has a beautiful connection with the lake over here. So you see there is a lake, and around that lake there is a settlement. So this water body is a seasonal water body. It's not perennial water body, and it's a very shallow lake. Okay, whenever there is a rainy season is where the lake is full of water. A lot of lotus grows in that water. There are a lot of fishes, and you know these tribal people, they take a tire tube, they sit on that tube, and they do this fishing with the you know that girl which we say means with the hook. And they catch fish every day. They harvest lotus. They eat lotus roots, which are delicacy over here in the food, in terms of food. And when there is a winter season, the water, you know, water gets reduced, and some part of the lake gets exposed, and there is one grass grows which is a quite strong and quite tall grass, which they harvest, and they make mats out of it. They weave those mats, and these mats are the wall of the houses. So they just put those mats on the walls. When the summer comes, there is no water but only mud in the lake, and that time these people have buffaloes. They leave their buffaloes in the mud because buffalo loves to get into the mud when it's hot outside. And the buffalo dung also gets into that mud. When buffalo just roll in the mud, that cow dung gets mixed with the mud. And then villagers, what they do, they just go and they collect that cow dung and mixed mud, and they plaster the walls which they have made with the those strong grass mats. Again the rain comes, that rain splashes on the walls, that mud again goes back to the lake. So basically desilting is also happening, the silting is also happening. The entire village livelihood and the life system is dependent on that particular lake. A few years back, like 2-3 years back, I think there is one government scheme came into the picture, which is Indira Awas Yojana, called Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana now. And people started building cement houses. And after that, nobody is actually taking mud out of that particular lake, and it's getting siltified. It gets silted. And right now, if you go in this particular village, there is just a ground. There is no lake. Okay, now they are not getting any lotus. There are no place for buffaloes to go into the mud, and the entire ecosystem is stopped just because there is an introduction of one government yojana in this particular village. And that's where we started thinking that a small intervention actually affects so much. It's a kind of a butterfly effect which happens, and it's actually stop the entire ecosystem. And that's where we professional has to think about what kind of intervention we are doing in such kind of a settlements. So as an architect, we know there is a forest from where the resource goes to the factory, then it gets converted into the material, and we build houses. But as an architect, we don't know when the house is not in use, what happens. Okay, or when that house is dilapidated, what happens. And that material, is it going back to the nature again? So this particular system is a kind of a linear system. And if you look at the village houses, those are like completely different houses, because if you see that these houses are made up of naturally available materials, even though these houses get dilapidated, it goes back to the nature, which is because if you see over here, there is a cow dung and bamboo wall. Whenever this wall is not in use, or it it's decays, they just take that wall off, they throw it into their farm. It's a good fertilizer, and that's the beauty of this entire system. And somehow I don't know whether we will be as a professional, or we will be able to understand the beauty of this system. This is where some problem happens, you know, like there are advertise happens which they say is cement mein jaan hai, and we believe that this cement has life. And also, you know, the advertisement is impacting so much that even in the rural area everybody wants to build with the cement. And what happens, see, it's written over there on the cement bag, okay, that it's engineer's choice, ordinary Portland cement. There is a unit which is written on it, 50 kg, how much strength it has, 42.5 newtons. Everything is written, so there is no doubt it's a standardized material. You can, it is a ready to use material. And the way this advertised, look at this engineer who is folding his hand, looking very confidently that come on, build with the cement. And here you just understand ki, okay, this is the only pakka material which is available, and I want to build my house with this one particular material. And when we look at the mud is child's play. You know, we as a children, we used to play in the mud, and but it's never something which is considered as a pakka material. It's always a kacha material. And you know, like these wordings itself a problem. When government came up with the definition of kacha and pakka material, there is a conflict, because mud is always considered as a, right now I'm sitting in a house which is quite a big house, let's say 2,300 square feet house. 2 months back there was they were came here to do the gharpatti survey, and that person asked me ki, okay, whether your house is a kacha house or pakka house. I asked him what is your definition of kacha house. So he said if the house is made up of mud, then it's a kacha house. Then I said, yeah, my house is a kacha house. And he wrote down, okay, it's a kacha house, maybe I'll get some concession in gharpatti. But that's the fun part. And he went. So I want to ask, came up with this particular idea ki, okay, see, now this is a, there is a photograph, and this particular photograph where we are trying to show, as per the government definition, this photograph is a considered as a pakka house, because you can see there are burnt bricks are used. There is a cement mortar which is used. The flooring is also made up of cement. There are corrugated cement sheets are used. Okay, and this is considered as a pakka house as per the government definition. And whereas I went to Gujarat, and I went to this Kutch village where I found this kacha house, because this house is made up of mud. The roof is made up of bamboo and thatch. The flooring is made up of cow dung. But if you are asked, like, what kind of a house is livable, you might say this particular kacha house is more vibrant and more beautiful to live in. And here I wanted to make a statement that kacha and pakka is not about the material, but how you use those materials, you know, wisely. And that's where the entire you know, this definition comes into the picture, because I have seen that these bhunga is a like a circular house which is built in a Bhuj or Gujarat. When there was a 2004 earthquake happened, only bhungas were sustaining. All the rest of the RCC building collapsed, all the cement structure collapsed, but the bhunga stayed at it as it is. And this is where our traditional knowledge comes into the picture, where we seriously we need to question whether what are these definition kacha and pakka. I wanted to show you this one beautiful house where I want to show you the flexibility. So this house is he's my friend Sunil from my village, and you see there are few columns and posts, and you see there is a one cow dung wall where there is a Varley painting as a Indian map which is made in a Varley painting. And that wall is a removable wall. And this particular person is very you know, interesting, because whenever he is doing this kind of activities like the grain storage, or maybe you know, after the harvest he has to put all these grains somewhere, he just remove that wall and adjust the space the way he want. Okay, every time I go to his house, the kitchen is in a different direction. Okay, he just remove the wall, he make bedroom in one corner. After a few months he just remove, because he's just maybe bored of that particular location, so he just remove that and put his bedroom on another. And look at all the clothes are hanging, you know, all the stuff which he use is hanging on the walls. And this is such a beautiful you know, arrangement or a setting of a very simple house. And now I started imagining if this particular house made up of cement, he will just lose the entire flexibility the way he want to use the space. Okay, he might not be able to store the grains wherever he want. Or for example, right now his kitchen is behind that wall. Okay, so whatever the smoke coming out of that particular chula, it gets deposited on the wood above, and because of that it never gets attacked by the termite. So one part is let's say properly smoked, he just remove that chula and put it somewhere else. Okay, and then again, so his entire house is going through the seasoning process. And I think that's the beauty of this cultural aspect of maintaining the house. I want to tell you another thing, ki, let's say there is a photo, and if I ask you question ki what exactly you see in this particular photo,